Sarah, we need to talk, my husband, Michael said. His voice sounded sad, but I knew he was pretending. I looked up from my laptop where I was planning our home renovation. His mother, Linda, stood beside him, dabbing her eyes with a tissue. My stomach tightened. I knew this act. Linda was very good at fake crying. The doctor says I have 6 months to live, Linda said, her voice shaking. I don't want to be alone at the end. She fell into our armchair, the same one I had seen her measuring last week, complaining it didn't match her decor. My name is Sarah Parker, and at 34, I had finally bought my dream home. After my parents died in a car accident 2 years ago, I used my inheritance to buy a beautiful Victorian house. It needed work, but it was mine. Linda never liked that. Mom needs to move in with us, Michael said firmly. We can turn your art studio into her bedroom. My chest tightened. The art studio was special to me. It was my dream to paint there. The sunlight coming through the windows was perfect. I know this is unexpected, Linda sniffled, but family sticks together in hard times. She had never treated me as family in the 8 years I had been married to Michael. She always saw me as the woman who had trapped her son. Which doctor told you this? I asked carefully. Maybe we should get a second opinion. Linda hesitated, then said, Dr. Thompson, but I trust him. I nodded. Dr. Thompson, the same doctor who supposedly diagnosed her with a rare disease last year, just before Michael and I were supposed to go to Italy. We canceled our trip to take care of her, but 2 weeks later, she was fine. I need to think about this, I said. Think about it, Michael shouted. My mother is dying. Where is your compassion? I looked at my husband. He had always chosen his mother over me. Something inside me changed. Yes. I need to think about it, I said firmly. This is my house too. Actually, Linda said sweetly, since Michael is your husband, it's his house too, and a son's duty to his mother. The house is in my name only, I cut in. I bought it with my inheritance. Linda's smile faded, but that's not the point. This is a big decision, and I won't rush into it. I walked outside to the garden, my favorite place. Sitting on a bench, I pulled out my phone and called Dr. Thompson's office. I'm sorry, the receptionist said. We have no patient records for a Linda Morrison. I thanked her and hung up. My suspicions were right. I called my sister, Emma, a nurse. Can you check something for me? I asked. 2 days later, I had my answer. Linda had not been to any oncologist. She had no cancer, no diagnosis. She was lying. For a week, I watched as Linda and Michael planned her move. She brought boxes over, talked about painting the walls. Michael barely spoke to me, acting as if I was cruel for hesitating. Then came the family dinner. Linda invited everyone. Michael's sisters, their husbands, aunts, uncles, cousins. She wanted them to pressure me. She stood up pretending to be emotional. She denounced her diagnosis and said how I had graciously agreed to let her move in. Everyone praised Michael for being such a good son. Then I stood up. My hands were steady as I lifted my glass. I have something to say. Linda smiled, expecting me to agree. Instead, I pulled out a folder and met her eyes. I spoke to Dr. Thompson's office, I said, and every other oncologist in the state. Linda's face turned pale. The dining room went silent. Linda's fork dropped onto her plate, the clattering, echoing in the tense air. Her face, already pale, turned almost white. I don't understand, she stammered, reaching for her water with shaking hands. Dr. Thompson doesn't share patient details. That's interesting, I said calmly because Dr. Thompson retired 3 years ago. His clinic doesn't even exist anymore. Michael stood up suddenly, his chair scraping loudly against the floor. Sarah, what are you doing? I opened my folder and pulled out the papers. I checked with every cancer hospital within 100 miles. No Linda Morrison has been diagnosed with cancer. No Linda Morrison has even been tested for it. The room filled with whispers. Linda's sister, Patricia, leaned forward, frowning. Linda, is this true? She's lying. Linda shouted, standing up. She's trying to turn you all against me because she doesn't want me in her fancy house. Actually, I said, sliding the papers across the table. I'm telling the truth. These are the hospital records. You can call and check for yourselves. Michael grabbed the documents, his hands shaking. This has to be wrong. Mom wouldn't, but she would. His sister Jessica said quietly, remember when she faked pneumonia before your wedding? Or the heart problem when you got that job in Seattle? Linda's face twisted with anger. Jessica, how dare you? I'm your mother. Yes. You are, Jessica said. And I love you. But this has to stop. The lies, the tricks, the drama, it's not okay. Michael sat down, staring at the papers in his hands. Slowly, the truth sank in. The house, he whispered, you wanted the house. Linda lost control. Of course, I wanted the house. She doesn't deserve it. She used her inheritance to buy that beautiful home. I'm stuck in my tiny ranch house. It's not fair. Not fair. I repeated, keeping my voice level. Like, it wasn't fair when you tried to convince Michael to challenge my inheritance, or when you told everyone at church I was flaunting my parents' death by buying the house. The shocked guests around the table told me that Linda hadn't shared those particular details with the family. Michael's head snapped up, his eyes wide. You did what? She needed to be put in her place, Linda hissed. Always acting so perfect, so independent. A real wife would have given that money to her husband. Like, you gave your inheritance to Dad? Patricia asked, her voice sharp. Oh, wait. You didn't get one. Is that what this is really about, Linda? The truth hung heavy in the air. Linda's face crumpled, not in fake tears this time, but in genuine defeat. The careful manipulation she orchestrated was falling apart, exposing years of jealousy and resentment. I just wanted, she started, then stopped, looking lost. You wanted to control everything, like always, Jessica finished. But this time you went too far. Faking cancer. That's cruel, Mom. Not just to Sarah, but to everyone who's actually fighting that battle. Michael stood up again, but this time his posture was different. Defeated, tired. I think everyone should go home, he said quietly. Mom, I'll drive you. But, Michael, Linda protested. No, Mom. Not this time. As the family filed out, each person avoiding Linda's desperate gaze, I stayed at the table. My hands clasped tightly in my lap. Patricia stopped beside me, placing a gentle hand on my shoulder. I'm sorry, she said softly. We should have seen it sooner. After everyone left, I began clearing the barely touched dinner plates. The sound of Michael's car starting and pulling away echoing in a quiet house. I wasn't sure if he'd come back tonight. I wasn't sure of anything anymore. But as I stood in my kitchen in my house, I felt something unexpected relief. The truth was finally out. And with it, the weight of years of subtle manipulation and forced smiles lifted from my shoulders. I walked to the window that overlooked my garden, watching the sunset paint the sky in shades of pink and gold. Whatever happened next, I knew I'd done the right thing. My parents had taught me to stand up for myself, and tonight, I finally had. The sound of the front door opening made me turn. Michael stood in the doorway, his face etched with exhaustion and something else. Shame. I dropped her off at home, Michael said, his voice rough. She cried the whole way there, said I was choosing you over her. I stayed silent, watching as he moved into the kitchen, looking lost in the space that had always been our home. He ran his hand over the counter, the one we picked up together during our renovation. But that's not what this is about, is it? He continued. This is about choosing truth over lies. I've been blind, Sarah. So blind. I leaned against the sink, crossing my arms. Yes. You have. All those times she had emergencies, conveniently when we were about to do something important. He shook his head. The tropical disease before our Italy trip, the heart palpitations when I got the Seattle job offer, and now this. She knew what she was doing, I said softly. She always has. Michael looked at me, really looked at me, perhaps for the first time in years. How did you stay knowing she was manipulating everything, watching me believe her every time? Because I loved you, I replied simply. But, Michael, I won't do it anymore. I can't. He nodded, sinking into one of our kitchen chairs. I don't expect you to. What she did, faking cancer. His voice broke. My aunt died of cancer last year. How could she use that? I moved to sit across from him, feeling the weight of this moment. Your mother needs help, Michael. Professional help. This isn't normal behavior. Jessica's already looking into family therapists, he said. She thinks Mom's behavior has gotten worse since Dad died. The need to control everything, to be the center of attention. We sat in silence for a while. The ticking of the kitchen clock marking time as we both processed the evening's events. Finally, Michael reached across the table, his hand opened, palm up. I know I don't deserve it, he said quietly, but I'd like a chance to make this right, to be the husband you deserve, not just the son my mother wanted me to be. I looked at his outstretched hand, thinking of all we've been through. It won't be easy, I warned. There needs to be boundaries, real ones. I know, he agreed. No more emergency visits. No more guilt trips. No more letting her make decisions about our life. And he hesitated, then continued firmly. I think we should go to counseling too. Together, I need to understand how I let this happen, how I hurt you by always putting her first. I felt tears prick at my eyes, not from sadness, but from relief. This was the man I've married, the one who'd been buried under years of his mother's manipulation. Okay, I said, placing my hand in his. We can try. The next few months weren't easy. Linda alternated between tearful apologies and bitter accusations, but we held firm to our boundaries. Michael started therapy, both with me and on his own, working through years of ingrained patterns. I finished my art studio, filling it with canvases and light. Sometimes when I'm painting there, I think about that family dinner and how close I came to losing my dream home to Linda's schemes. But then I look at the changes in our lives, the peace, the honesty, the renewed connection between Michael and me, and I know it was worth it. Linda eventually agreed to counseling, though it took Jessica and Patricia's ultimatum to get her there. She's learning slowly to build relationships based on truth rather than manipulation. Last week, she even sent me a card, a real one, apologizing for everything. It's a small step, but it's something. Michael and I finally took that trip to Italy, sending postcards to his mother from every city we visited. When we returned, our house was exactly as we'd left it. No emergencies, no drama, just home. Yesterday, as I worked in my garden, I found the first rosebud of spring pushing through the soil. Like that tiny flower, our family is growing in new ways, healthier ways. It's not perfect, but it's real, and that's all I ever wanted. The house stands as it always has, but now it feels different. It's not just my sanctuary anymore. It's our home, mine and Michael's, built on a foundation of truth and trust. And that's something no manipulation could ever provide. Share your thoughts in the comments section. Thanks for your precious time. If you enjoyed this story, then please make sure you subscribe to this channel.